Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show we have reports and tips for you from Jarrett McCarthy down at Hayward Bait and Bottle. And then we talk with Emmett Brown at the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. And lastly, some great panfish tips for you from Dan Gifford. Lots to cover on this week's show, all coming up right after these messages.
At Hayward Power Sports, we know it's fun to roam the boat shows. But remember, we have awesome deals every day, and we'll be here long after the shows. As the 2026 continue to roll in, we're making insane deals on our remaining 2025 models. Save nearly $13,000 on a 2025 Lund 1775 Impact XS. Or how about $20,000 in savings on a remaining 22-foot Bennington pontoon? Hayward Power Sports has a huge selection of new Lund and Tracker fishing boats. Plus, we have our largest selection ever of pontoons in stock with gorgeous Benningtons and the #1 selling pontoons in the world, Sun Tracker. Hayward Power Sports also carries every major outboard with Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Mercury with the best warranty offers of the year going on now. And while the boat shows find you the best financing for the dealer, we work with our banks to get the best financing for you. Our boat show is continuous, so come see us today at Hayward Power Sports. Just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77. We're at haywardpowersports.com.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu. And while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
We're down at Hayward Bait and Bottle recording this week, and Jarrett, I got you and Jarrett in here, and fishing season's open finally.
Finally, we've been waiting forever. We've been waiting for the weather forever. It seems like it always takes a long time for the snow to get the heck out of here, but we got open water, we got open fishing season, and we're ready to roll.
Well, it's a little early to, may have a report or anything on the walleye and that stuff open, but there've been people out fishing already for the last week or better.
Yeah, absolutely. The water's starting to warm up out there. Had plenty of guys out there fishing panfish already. Had a lot of guys out there taking advantage of the catch and release bass season. Plenty of guys out on the rivers are sucker fishing. They're fishing trout. So definitely still a lot of people out there waiting in line before the season opener.
What's your prediction on the walleye fishing? A lot of people come up here for the opener. It's a big deal. Walleyes. What's your prediction there?
I'm thinking because we had, a cooler spring and we had a later ice out that the walleye fishing is going to be pretty good, and a lot of those fish are still going to be tucked up shallow, just finishing up the spawn gig, and they'll be hitting in there.
I think a majority of them will be post-spawn, and they're shallow. A lot of the males, the smaller males maybe move out deep, but the bigger females will probably stay shallow for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. That 8 to 10 foot range during the daytime, and then they'll come up really, really shallow during those prime time periods, right at sunrise and sunset.
And that's a good point you brought up there, because everybody wants to rely on things like a jig and a minnow for the most part. But man, I'll tell you, you can, if you hit it right and the weather cooperates, you can get some really good action up there throwing, jerk baits, rapalas, that type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. When you get into those evening times when that sun's starting to go down and that sun's just starting to creep up, you want to be throwing those jerk baits out there. You want to be throwing something that's going to be helping you cover some water.
People that aren't maybe familiar with it, everybody's familiar with like the floating rapalas and the countdown rapalas, but there's a whole new generation of baits that are made to actually work stop, go, and twitching out there. They look similar, but there's a lot of differences.
A lot of differences, yeah. And we've got a lot of them here down at the shop for you. So whatever kind of color pattern it is you're looking for, or whatever kind of body of water you're looking to get out on, we've got recommendations here.
A hot one this year seems to be that Rapala Maverick.
Yep, that's been a hot one the past couple of years. The Livingston is still up there with everybody else. We've got the Mega Bass, the 110s and the 110 pluses here in the shop. So got a lot of different stick baits you can throw at them.
And let's talk a little bit your favorite, the crappies and the panfish. They're not going to be ready to spawn yet, but they should be up shallow with some of these warming temperatures.
Yep, so, we had a little bit of colder temperatures earlier this last week, but it seems like we're going to be in the maybe upper 50s if we get some stable weather coming up here. A lot of those fish, they're still going to be staging out there, including the crappies, so you're still going to be looking in anywhere from that 5 to 10 feet of water. Those fish will be up, sunning themselves, basking, getting ready. I think we're still probably about a solid 2 weeks away from crappie spawn, and obviously the bluegills will be, about 10 degrees behind them.
Last Saturday I was out on one of the lakes doing a little shakedown cruise with one of my boats, and I was reading 57 and 58 already.
Yeah, a couple of those really dark water lakes, if you were out moseying around on moose or something like that, those lakes, they warm up really, really fast, but a lot of those big clear bodies of water, they warm up a lot slower. But yeah, this time of year, you're looking to get into those back bays, and this is with a lot of fish species, those back muddy bays on the north side of the lake that really warm up fast.
And a lot of that's going to be just a float with a jig with a little crappie minnow on it, but you can also fish plastics. And I find the key thing is that you don't just throw it out there, leave it sit. You throw it out there, move it a foot or two, stop, move it a foot or two. It seems to work better.
Yeah, and a lot of fish this time of year, including panfish, it's a sight bite. So taking a good pair of polarized sunglasses out in the water is really going to help, because this time of year when you've got that high sun coming out there, a lot of these fish are going to move up and up and up in the water column just to get warm. So you might be out there fishing 8 to 12 feet of water, but those crappies might be 2 feet underneath the surface. So good pair of polarized sunglasses and some good boat electronics will definitely help you find some fish. The other tip that I'll give people is if you're going to make an early day out of this, if you're getting out there at 8 or 9 o'clock, all spots are not treated equally based on the time of day. So if you go into a spot that is normally holding fish at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, it might be 4 or 5 hours before that sun gets up there and really starts to heat up that bay that you've caught fishing in the past for those fish to move in. They might be out staging, just waiting for that water to heat up, and that spot could look completely different when you hit it at 3 or 4 p.m.
Well, a lot of interesting stuff there on that. Bass fishing's been open for a while, catch and release. What are you getting for reports on the bass out there?
Yeah, bass have been fast and furious out there from what we've been seeing. Guys have been throwing some plastics out there for them. Got plenty of guys that are out there seeing them on jerk baits already, so definitely a good plethora of people out there catching bass.
And definitely you want to not overlook northern pike, because if you're looking for meat on the table, we got generous bag limits on several lakes up here, 10 fish on some lakes, and they're actually very good eating fish.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about out here at the shop. Guys are turkey hunting out there. I'm getting some good reports on that.
Yeah, seen plenty of birds coming to and from the shop. Seen plenty of pictures coming in too, so it looks like those guys are killing a few birds out in the woods.
And you guys are geared up for anything they could possibly want for the opener. You got a great selection of lures for just about anything out there, and some great trolling stuff and lake maps, just about everything.
Absolutely. Anything that you could shake an ugly stick at, we've got it here in the building.
Jarrett, I want to thank you greatly for taking the time with us.
And thanks for having me again, John.
Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking to Emmett Brown at the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop for the Hayward area's largest selection of rods, reels, lures, fishing electronics, boating supplies, and much more. Whether you fish for bass, walleyes, panfish, or muskies, gear up for the upcoming fishing season. And if you're getting ready for the spring turkey season too, they also have just about everything you'll need for a successful season. In the bottle shop, you'll find a full selection of beer and liquor. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop. There's no time like the present to explore Hayward, Wisconsin, one of the Midwest's most popular vacation destinations. With crystal clear lakes for water sports and fishing, miles of trails for riding snowmobiles, ATVs, cross-country skiing, hiking, and mountain biking, this area is buzzing with activity year-round. Combined with charming local shops and a variety of Northwoods dining options, Hayward is certain to offer both adventure and relaxation for everyone. Plan your trip today and find everything you need on the Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce website. From events and attractions to local dining, shopping, and lodging, visit haywardareachamber.com and start your next adventure now.
The fishing opener has come and gone. If you fish from an old boat, from shore, or didn't go out at all, we can help. Hayward Power Sports has an awesome selection of new Lund boats, built by fishermen for fishermen for the last 75 years, and no boat retains their value better. Or check out a Tracker, America's #1 selling aluminum fishing boat. Whatever brand you choose, they'll be powered by Mercury outboards, rigged and ready. Don't miss another day of fishing. See us at Hayward Power Sports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
In the Northwoods, a lake property is more than just a cabin. It's where memories are made. If you're buying lakefront property, you want someone who understands what makes each lake special. And if you're selling, your property deserves more than just a sign in the yard. It deserves its story told. I'm Megz Steinmetz with Real Estate by Megz, a national 30 under 30 realtor, lifelong angler, and a Northwoods lake specialist. Because no two lakes are the same, and neither are the properties. Find me online or on social media, Real Estate by Megz. That's Megz with a Z.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors, and this part of the show is brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, you know, one of the things that Hayward's famous for is the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. Had a chance to talk to Emmett Brown the other day down at the hall about the hall and a lot more. We're at the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. I'm talking to the director, Emmett Brown. And Emmett, good to have you on here again. Let's talk about the hall.
Oh, thanks for inviting me, John. Always nice and always willing to talk about the hall.
You guys made a bunch of improvements over the last few months in here too, right?
Well, really, the last couple years, we've been steadily, it's a work in progress. The vagaries of our spring, summer, falls, and winters play havoc on our grounds, the outside portion of our operation here, and there's always something to do. There's never such thing as, well, nothing to do today. No, that's not the case. But yes, we've been making a lot of improvements. We built a playground, a brand new playground for the kids last year, and we've replaced all our old wooden pine benches that constantly needed updating with composite benches that will not need replacing anytime in the near future anyway. We've updated all our gardens and all that. We did all that last year. Now, this past spring, what we've done is completely waterproofed our pond, our 80,000-gallon cement pond that's at the base of the Big Muskie, and we installed brand new asphalt walkways throughout. Ripped out the old walkways and put in brand new asphalt. It looks really nice.
Well, you know, talk about the Hall of Fame here. It's known as it's a local tourist attraction in Hayward, but it's a lot more than that, right?
It's an international organization, actually. You know, what we do here, we have 3 missions. We display the history and heritage of freshwater sport fishing on our 7 acres. We have over 100,000 artifacts on display. We're also freshwater sport fishing's record-keeping body, which we qualify and then publish all tackle and line class records. So we recognize over 225 species of freshwater fish, and we have over about 3,500 entries in our record book in both our kept and catch and release divisions. And of course, as our name, well, more than applies, it states, we are Freshwater Fishing's Hall of Fame. To that end, we've recognized about 600 men, women, and organizations who've made significant and lasting contributions to the sport of freshwater fishing. We are freshwater fishing's Hall of Fame, period.
There has been so much changes. I mean, I've been guiding up here for 45 years, and just in the last 50 years, the fishing world has changed so much. We've got so many people out there involved in it compared to what it used to be. It's a whole different world, it seems like.
Well, not to date myself, but, we've been sport fishing for a long, long time, but now everybody has their own boat, or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever the case may be. Gone are the days where if you wanted to fish another lake, you went to a resort and rented a boat and maybe strapped on your 9.9 Evinrude. Those days are gone. And just the equipment. I'm not sure my father ever had more than 1 or 2 rods and reels, to be honest with you. Now I probably have 50. And that's just the way it is.
So much has changed, but I don't know, the effectiveness of fishermen changed out there. What are you seeing as far as records? How long has the hall been here, for instance?
Well, on paper, we've been here since 1960. The physical operation, the first building was built in 74, and then 78, the big muskie came in, and then the early 80s, we built a museum complex. So we've been here a long time, and we have about 45,000 visitors on an annual basis, mid-April through the end of October. And we are, to get back to your initial point, we are more than just a local tourist attraction, whatever you want to call it.
But if you're in Hayward, it's a must-see, because if you're in Hayward or in the area up in northern Wisconsin up here, it's amazing what you have here and what you guys have done as far as displays and the photographs and the mounted fish, and I could go on and on. You got the biggest collection of antique outboard motors I've ever seen.
We have over 1,000 on display, and we have, too many in storage, and we've gotten to the point where we're really not. And God bless the folks that call us and say, we want to give you Granddad's old outboard motor. We're just in a position now where we just can't accept those types of donations anymore. We're literally out of room.
Yeah, and it's amazing because we have just a handful of brands of outboard motors now, and some of them are out of Japan. You got Suzuki, Yamaha, Honda. But in this country, we've got Mercury is about the only one left anymore. But years ago, everybody had them. Sears had motors. You had Scott Atwater. I could go on and on. I was an outboard mechanic for years before I came up here, but there were so many outboard motors available. It was amazing.
And as you know, Sears never made an outboard in their life.
No, Scott Atwater.
Yeah, right. Spiegel, the old mail order catalog out of Chicago, they had a line of outboard motors. Now, they weren't made by Spiegel, never made an outboard in their life either. I think they were Clinton's, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, though. But there were so many different options outboard, and they all had one characteristic. They didn't start very well.
Well, and equipment too. I mean, nowadays a majority of our fishing equipment is imported, but how many different brands of reels do you have on display that were made in the United States years ago?
Well, I mean, they pretty much all were, with the J.A. Cox and all these early reels in the 20s, 30s, 40s. They were made in the Pfluger, of course, out of Akron, Ohio. That was the gold standard of reels for a long, long time. Shakespeare, South Bend, Hedden, they were all made by those companies, all made in the U.S.
And you guys have a lot of the old stuff from back when the stuff was first came out. You've got a lot of that stuff on display, plus pictures of the people that made them and stuff like that too, right?
We have all of that on display. All the old Pflugers and the South Bends, and we have a huge display of the early electronics, back from the paper graph days, the green box and the early hummingbirds, and that early hummingbird was a manned fish trap, I believe.
That's exactly what it was.
That was the very early hummingbird. And now, look at hummingbird now.
Well, Lawrence, there was actually a model before the green box. That was a red box, I believe, if I'm not.
I think you're right about that. And for whatever reason, I think they thought that green sells better.
But anyway, you guys have got all this going on, but you actually have a magazine you publish, and you have a membership and everything else if somebody wants to join it.
Just go to our website, Google Fishing Hall of Fame. Will be the first domain that comes up, but it's freshwater-fishing.org. And we have a supporting membership program. It's reasonable. It's $35 on an annual basis. Gets a free pass for you and your family into the museum on an annual basis. Plus, you get our quarterly magazine and you get our annual record book.
A lot of interesting stuff there, Emmett. I want to thank you for taking the time with us here.
Thank you, John, and anytime.
Well, folks, we need to take yet another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking to Dan Gifford, who makes the Bimbo Skunk Panfish Jig. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore-sight it for you too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Care for the animals with help from Hayward Feed and Seed. They offer deer corn, mineral blacks, and their famous Big Buck blend. They can also satisfy the hunger of the other animals in your life with a massive variety of dog and cat foods, along with other pet foods and large animal feeds. Plus, they have an awesome assortment of cat and dog toys, along with heated water bowls and plenty of warm, cozy bedding for all the animals in your life. Open at 8 a.m. Monday through Saturday. See the experts at Hayward Feed and Seed. Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And on this segment of the show, we've got some great panfish tips for you. We're talking to Dan Gifford. Good to have you on the radio show here.
Well, thanks for having me.
We're talking about fishing, and I know you make a line of lures. They call it the Bimbo Skunk, which is pretty popular. How did that ever come about, and tell us a little bit about it?
Well, when I was 16 years old, I got a fly tying kit for Christmas, so I started tying, and when you first start tying, you'll never tie two the same. So I would experiment, and my brothers and I, of course, we fishing every day. We'd take them out, and if they worked, I'd try to improve on it. If not, I'd just throw them away. And ultimately, just screwing around one day, I put a stripe over the back. And my brother said, "Hey, that's a skunk." So, and that one really worked well. So then we just started calling it the Bimbo Skunk.
What makes that different from a lot of other panfish baits?
Well, I think it's a combination of I use red thread and the red on the neck of it, the thorax, and then I leave a piece of the string hang out the back like a tail. And I don't know, the stripe seems to do something. I don't know exactly what it is, but it definitely works.
Well, when you mention the tail on the back of a bait, that to me is one of the important things when it comes to panfish.
Right, and I often thought of the one on the neck as either maybe they see it as gills of a tiny fish or blood. I don't know, but it definitely works. And I actually discovered that by accident because I run out of black thread.
I know you do a lot of panfishing. Do more bluegill or crappie or what?
Mostly bluegill or bluegill, crappie, and perch. In the summer and the winter, whatever, it doesn't matter. I love catching them all.
Well, Dan, when it comes to pan fishing, I mean, you've been doing it a long time. People go after panfish. What kind of mistakes do you see people make, and what do you recommend for them to be more efficient and catch panfish a little easier?
First and number one thing is you have to find fish. It doesn't do any good fishing where there is none. So, and now with all the electronics they have, it almost makes it too easy.
Oh, yeah. It sure does. We got the forward-facing sonar now a lot, over all the years you've been fishing, haven't they?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
As far as, other things that people can do to catch more fish, once you find the fish, presentation-wise.
Change up. Like I recommend I send a tip sheet along with all my lures, and I tell them to start tipping it with a waxworm or chunk of crawler. But once you find the fish, you don't have to. Another reason this is so effective is it's a horizontal presentation, and you will always catch more fish on a horizontal presentation, because it's tied on a tiny jig head, so it hangs sideways in the water.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of people add too much action to their baits too much vertical up and down a lot of times when, there's plenty of action there if you just hold it still and it just kind of moves around on its own.
Yeah, and another tip that I found, that if you take your bait and you bounce it off a bottom or drop it to the bottom and then bring it up, they'll drill it. I would imagine they're thinking something's hatching out of the floor of the lake or whatever, but it seems to work really good.
Well, that actually works exceptionally good, especially when it comes to perch, because, you could get out to a lot of spots and look down there and never see a perch, never see a fish on your electronics, and you drop something down and bang on the bottom a couple times, lift it up, and all of a sudden the bottom comes up off there to be fish coming up off the bottom.
Yep, and that's the thing, the biggest mistake people make.
As far as the type of fishing when it comes to bluegills, I know the DNR, I've heard the DNR recommend, and a lot of anglers, including myself, recommend people, if you do get into the bluegills, they're over 9 inches, maybe better off to put them back. And, there's not a lot of lakes anymore where you find 10-inch bluegills up in northern Wisconsin, is there?
No, well, this last few years there's been, because in my opinion on this, or thoughts, is that we had 2 winters where there wasn't hardly no ice fishing. First year we had too much snow and you couldn't get on, and then the next year there wasn't enough ice. And a lot of fish survived and they grew more. But otherwise, you don't want to take the genetics out of the lake. I seen that happen at Spring Lake up there by you.
Yeah, the biggest bluegills are the males, and they pretty much dictate the whole size structure hierarchy of the lake. And if they're not there, a lot of the little males go in and do the thing, and we wind up with a bunch of smaller bluegills, it seems like.
Exactly, yep.
Actually, harvest is a big factor we need to look at, too, especially when we've got all the electronics and the sonar we've got. I mean, how many fish do you really need to get to take to eat? And it's getting almost too easy to catch these fish sometimes.
Yeah, with these side imaging ones, or live scopes, I call it cheating. You're cheating.
Well, some do it. You can learn a lot, though, from how the panfish react to baits and what they do. Yeah. Well, as far as your lures, they're available a lot of different places, and it's called the Bimbo skunk. It's basically it's a fly almost, isn't it?
Well, it's basically a fly tied down a jig head.
And they're available, and you got a website where people can find more information?
Yes, www.bimboskunk.com. And if you Google Bimbo skunk, it'll pull up the website and also my phone number. A lot of people don't have computers. I take a lot of orders right over the phone.
Well, it's been real interesting here talking to you, Dan, or I'll call you Bimbo, whichever one. Everybody calls you that. It's been real interesting talking to you here, and thanks a lot for taking the time here on the radio show, Dan, and thank you for taking the time with us here.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, you can always go to our website at wnoradio.com, and from there you can link through to our podcast. You can also find the show on Spotify and all major podcast channels. And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com or the Hayward Area Chamber site at haywardareachamber.com. And lastly, if you'd like more information on hiring a fishing guide when you're up here in the Hayward area, check out our website at wnoradio.com. We've got links to just about all the different guides and a lot of information in there on guides. We're out of time for this week's show, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you. Thanks for listening.
Way up in the Northland where the recreation's great. So sit back, relax, kick off your shoes, sink in your easy chair. Come on along, listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin Outdoors, our Wisconsin Outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.